Hey, how's it going, everyone? So the April update for LEGO Legacy has just hit the game, and it's pretty solid. I'm really happy with just about everything in this update. So today I'm going to mainly go over the new sets that are now in the game, and I'm also going to go over just some other changes that occurred with this update and my thoughts on them. Also, now that the Ninjago reworks have hit, I'm going to be doing a 7-star review of both Kai and Lloyd pretty soon here. Luckily, Zane's kit didn't change too much, so I'm not going to redo his. And then I'm also going to do Jester and Redbeard, since I have them at 7 stars as well. So first of all, we can now favorite minifigures. So right here, this button down here that says favorite. If you turn that on, the character will appear at the top of your roster, and that will just make it much easier to focus your farming. So right here, there are 5 characters that I'm currently working on, but just so I just got to 5 stars, that was a great part of this update. They added a ton of new achievements, so I was able to take my Magisto all the way to 5 stars, and now I can actually use him in the Primo event, and I'm not going to have to farm Brutus. I did decide to at least unlock him at 3 stars, because he might be useful for Brick Expeditions if we need like a full castle team or something, because even my 3-star Brutus is much better than my 5-star Headley, but I do now have 5 castle characters at 5 stars, with the exception of Burnibus, who's another one I'm farming right now, and I'll have him there before too long. I'm also trying to get Nia up to 7 stars. I'm really curious to see how she's going to perform at 7, because her kit got a complete overhaul, and I think she could be useful, but I'm not totally sure. But once I get her to 7 stars, I'm going to do some more extensive testing in Arena. And then Cookbart and Argenta are here, because I'm trying to get them up a bit higher, because I'm trying to prepare my pirates for when Hank and Scarlet are released. I want to have a somewhat solid pirate team, and currently Redbeard and Bart are really my only 2 good pirates. One thing that changed in this update that they didn't actually mention in any patch notes is the energy refreshes for the energy is now separate. So you can do 250s of the regular energy, and then you can also do 250s of the mashup energy. So that's a fantastic change. That's going to really help free-to-play players really focus on farming and help get character tiles a bit faster. And also, if we go to a node, let's just go to Burnibus, you can see that it's only 25 gems now to refresh a node instead of 50, so that's a very welcome change as well. That's also going to help speed up the farming process of a character if you want to get tiles for them a bit quicker. And then of course we now have guild quests. I really like how this is laid out. It's structured pretty well. Basically, you're working together as a guild to do something. Like right here, it's use as much energy on glyph hunt battles as possible, and so your guild as a whole will get better rewards if more people participate. And you can also get more guild coins from the individual leaderboard, so depending on how much you contribute, you'll get additional guild coins, so it's just more incentive to contribute to the guild. So I really like how this is set up. It looks really nice. I think this was done pretty well. Before we move on to talking about the sets, I real quickly want to go over the Ninjago reworks. Most of what they put in the doc was accurate. One thing that's worth noting is Kai does not have that chance to lose stealth at the max level. He does have it with level 4 and going back, but at the 5th level, he does not have that. So that's a really nice bonus. Overall, Kai got a massive boost. He's now one of the best, probably top 5 attacker in the game right now. His basic attack, if he had stealth, can do upwards of 7,000 damage on a critical hit. And by the way, it looks like I was right about my guess with it being plus 25% damage if he was under stealth. So 130% damage when he is stealth. And he has one of the highest base attack stats in the game. I think he's second only to Highwayman, and his special does quite a bit of damage as well, not as much as it used to do, but now if he defeats an enemy, he'll gain 70% pep, which means his next turn will come almost immediately, and if it's a critical hit, he will gain stealth as well, so really solid ability there. And then of course his reworked ultimate is insane now. I've had it do over 6,000 damage on a critical hit to all enemies, and then on top of that, all allies gain attack up 2 for 2 turns and prepared. So after you use this ability, everyone on your team is going to do a lot more damage for their next couple turns. So overall, he got a huge buff. He's now one of the best attackers in the game. The Lloyd nerf was more substantial than I thought it would be. I think he's really going to be dependent on having Wu in the team. Right now, he's really not that great, and he's no longer as effective as a plug-and-play character. If you want to use him in like a castle team or something, you really need Aurora or Yuppie there as well to start reviving him, because he no longer has as much survivability as he used to have, because he won't have that dodge up too. He does now get a max health boost, but he's still not as effective as he used to be. I think he's going to be very, very dependent on Wu, who, by the way, is going to be a master event. He's now been switched to being 0 out of 190 tiles in-game, so he's going to be a 5-star unlock from his master event. And then Zane overall stayed mostly the same. I think without Wu, it was a bit of a nerf, but with Wu, it'll be a little bit of a buff. And Nia, I'm still undecided on her kit. It looks really good, but again, like I said, once I get her to 7 stars, I will do some testing of her, and we can determine just how good she actually is. Okay, so let's go into talking about the sets now. 4 new ones were added: the Eldorado Fortress, Magisto's Tower, the Fire Station, and Ice Station Odyssey. One thing I want to really quickly mention is there are a few more sets here, like this pirate ship that you can't click on, but it is just sitting there. That's basically how these other 4 were before. So like the Eldorado Fortress, we could see it there, but we couldn't click on it. So I assume that means that like the pirate ship and like the castle in the back there and whatnot, I think those sets are eventually going to be added as well. And then of course we are going to get a whole new tab, a whole new neighborhood is what they're calling it, for the Ninjago sets. And I assume when that launches, there's going to be at least 3 Ninjago sets. My guess is 1 for Garmadon and then 2 for ninjas. That would seem to make sense. But we'll just have to see with that one. At least I think we'll be able to look at 3 sets. Maybe they all won't be immediately accessible. Anyway, let's start with the Eldorado Fortress. This is a Imperial set, so it's really meant to work with Imperials, but it will have some other pirate synergy. Generally, I mean, I think in the future there's going to be 2 solid teams, a Buccaneer team and an Imperial team. I just think that's how it's going to play out. I mean, if we take a look at the pirates right here, you can see that there are 6 Buccaneers: Bart, Argenta, Redbeard, Darwin, Scarlet, and Castaway. And then there are 5 Imperials: Laquay, or Lackey, I still don't know how to pronounce that guy's name, Valiant, Governor, Nonsuch, and Lee. So I really think there are going to be 2 solid pirate teams, 1 Buccaneer and 1 Imperial. So this set right here, the Eldorado Fortress, looks like it's really meant to work with specifically Imperials. The first ability here will give pirate heroes a 20% increase in their skills. It'll help them land their debuffs, which pirates are really dependent on. And then Imperials will gain a 20% defense boost, and other heroes will have a 10% grit boost. The second ability here will give a 40% chance at the start of a Justice hero's turn to copy 1 debuff from one foe to another, a bonus chance if either foe is wanted. That's not going to be super important, but a little bit of debuff copying might be nice. The third ability is where it starts to get interesting. When Governor's health goes below 50%, a random Imperial ally gains payback for 1 turn, and then when Nonsuch goes below 50%, a random Imperial ally will gain debuff immunity for 1 turn, and then Private Laquay is guaranteed to gain that buff as well. So some buffs there for when they fall below 50% health. Then the last ability is the most interesting. When an Imperial hero attacks, there's a 25% chance to inflict a debuff for 2 turns on the target, and the debuff is based on the target's roll. So tank, grit down, attacker, attack down, support, skill down, healer, speed down. So it's kind of interesting. There are some interesting interactions there. I think it is going to help the Imperial faction and make them decent. I don't think Imperials are going to be meta or even close to it, although maybe like Governor might fit well in a Buccaneer team or something along those lines. But I think if a pirate team is going to be meta, I think it's specifically going to be Buccaneers and not Imperials, because their set is decent, but it's not incredible. Next is the Fire Station, which mainly synergizes with characters that can gain courage, and there's some city synergy as well. But the 3 characters that can gain courage are Firefighter Ash, Officer Primo, and Princess Storm. So none of those 3 characters are very easy to obtain. Princess Storm is a very slow farm from the guild store. Officer Primo, his event hasn't returned in a while. Eventually it's going to come, but it does require 5-star castles. So not very many players are going to have both a solid castle team and a solid city team for Primo to work well in. And then Firefighter Ash is an arena store farm, and you're probably going to want to go for someone else from that store before you go for Ash. But anyway, the first ability here, whenever a hero resists a debuff, there is a 40% chance to gain 1 stack of courage, maximum of 5, plus 5% chance per role model ally. I mean, that's not that great. It's requiring you to resist debuffs, which means you're going to need grit up, which isn't going to be a very common debuff. I think Street Sweeper Sal has that buff. But other than that, I can't think of too many city characters that utilize grit up. The second ability will give a 10% defense increase to heroes for each stack of courage that they have. So it's going to make those characters like Ash and Primo a little bit more durable, and maybe some other characters if they're resisting debuffs, but that's not going to be super common. And even at the max level, 50% defense isn't going to make a huge difference, especially because Ash and Primo both have abilities that will clear all stacks of courage on themselves. And then the third ability, whenever a hero with at least one stack of courage attacks, they have a 50% chance to clear 2 to 3 debuffs off a random other city hero. So again, this requires you to be running city characters, and specifically Ash and Primo, to utilize that courage synergy. And a 50% chance to clear some debuffs, it's really not that great. It's only really going to be useful versus a Buccaneer team, and even then I think Buccaneers would just churn through any city team. And then the fourth ability here is really the only ability that saves this set from being absolutely horrible. This actually might give city teams some real viability in raids in the future, because basically whenever a hero is defeated, 2 random role model or city allies get an increase to their stats based on the defeated hero's role and stacks of courage. I'm not sure if that's talking about stacks on the defeated hero when they were defeated, or on the random allies, but either way, when a healer is defeated, it'll increase the max health by 3% per stack of courage, a tank will give a defense increase of 3%, an attacker will give an attack bonus of 3%, and a support will give a speed bonus of 3%. So if you're running Aurora in a city team with Primo and Ash, and some characters are dying and Aurora keeps bringing them back, this might be decent. You might be getting some solid stat boost, which might help you stay stronger and go further in a raid setting. But with that said, Aurora is not going to be reviving very often because she can't use the Ice Glider, because you can't use 2 sets at once, obviously. So she's only going to have that revive available every so many turns, and she can't keep using it. So I'm not really sure about this set, still not sold. It might be decent for raids, but we will have to see. After that is Megisto's Tower, which is one that I'm not really looking forward to. This set is just going to make the castle timeout teams even more annoying, and I really wish that they were moving away from timeout teams, but it looks like this set's just going to make them even worse, and that's mainly because of the fourth ability. But let's first look at the very first one. Castle heroes will have a 40% chance to gain a stack of enchantment, and that chance is doubled for castle tanks. And when a hero with enchantment attacks, they have a 45% chance to do 70% bonus damage. And then that will, if that triggers, it'll clear the 1 stack of enchantment. So some extra damage there, actually quite a bit of extra damage. And then the second ability is very similar to that. Heroes have another 40% chance to start the battle with 1 stack of enchantment. Chance is doubled for castle attackers, so this is going to happen twice at the start of the battle. And then when a hero with a stack of enchantment is attacked, they have a 45% chance to counter for 70% damage. So again, 70% damage, 45% chance, and that will clear 1 stack of enchantment. So again, it's a chance to do some extra damage. And then the third ability here, Megisto will start the battle with 1 stack of enchantment, and whenever a magical hero, so that's just Megisto and Willa, whenever they use a special ability, all allies will have a 40% chance to gain 1 stack of enchantment. And whenever a magical hero uses a non-attack ability, allies with 1 stack of enchantment gain another stack, and techie enemies take damage equal to 10% of their max health. So if you have Megisto and Willa in your team, that's going to be a lot of stacks of enchantment. With just Megisto, it's not going to be a whole lot, but it will be a solid amount. And then the last ability here, here's where it really gets insane. Whenever a hero with at least 1 stack of enchantment would be defeated by an attack, they take no damage and gain Hardy. This clears 1 stack of enchantment. And whenever a hero loses Hardy, if they had at least 1 stack of enchantment, they have a 100% chance to gain Stealth and then clear all stacks. The thing with this one is this isn't just like the first turn they're about to die. It's anytime that they would be defeated by an attack, they will take no damage and gain Hardy, so you can't kill them again. And then if you attack them while they have Hardy and trigger that, if they have a stack of enchantment, they'll gain Stealth. So theoretically, if you paired this set with Megisto, Jester, Barnabas, Willa, and then one other character, maybe like Aurora or Yuppie, that team could almost be impossible to beat on defense, because even if you're about to kill a character, they would just survive and then gain Hardy, and then if you tried to kill them again, they would gain Stealth. and then there would be Jester to heal them up, Magisto to heal, Willow with her massive heal. It would just be impossible to beat, especially if you throw in like Aurora, and then even if you do manage to defeat a character, she could just bring them back. I don't know. I'm not a fan of timeout teams as it is, and this might make it even worse. So I'm not looking forward to fighting a team with this set. And then finally we have the Ice Station Odyssey, which isn't too crazy, but it does have some nice synergies with Commander Cold and the other space characters. So let's take a look at the first ability here. It will give space characters a 20% speed increase, which is actually quite a bit. And chill heroes will have a skill increase of 20%, and all other heroes gain a defense increase of 10%. So not too bad. Pretty solid first ability there. And then the second ability here, when a hero inflicts stun or dizzy, they have a 65% chance to inflict 1 stack of damage over time on them for 1 turn. This is probably the worst set ability right here, even when it does trigger, and it's a 65% chance. It's not even a 100% chance to just inflict 1 stack of damage over time for 1 turn. So you can just ignore this ability. It isn't going to do very much even when it does trigger. And then the third ability here, whenever an Ice Planet hero, so Kelvin or Commander Cold, uses a special ability, each hero has a 30% chance to gain accuracy up 1 for 1 turn, and each foe has a 40% chance to lose stealth. Not bad. It's some interesting anti-stealth mechanics, which some of the space characters have, like Kartovsky, but accuracy up isn't a great buff, and it's only a 40% chance to remove that stealth, and it's also only when Ice Planet heroes use a special ability. So again, not a fantastic ability. And then the final ability here, whenever a chill hero attacks a foe with Dizzy, there is a 40% chance to convert all their stat and heal based buffs to their debuff equivalent up to a maximum of 3 buffs. And then the target's PEP is reduced by 15%. So again, not an incredible ability, nothing as crazy as Magisto's Tower, but if you are running a full chill team, this might be interesting, but even then, I think even if you were running chill characters, I think Ice Glider would be a much better set to go for, because of course the synergies with Aurora and whatnot. But this might be useful one day when we get more Ice Planet characters, but right now it's not a great set either. So basically the Eldorado Fortress looks solid. I think it's going to work really well with Imperials, but a full Imperial team will probably not be better in the long run than a full Buccaneer team with the Forbidden Island. Magisto's Tower looks like it's just going to make those existing King's Court teams even more annoying to beat on defense, and might make the timeout team meta a bit worse, unfortunately. But it does look like it's going to be solid in raids. The huge amounts of survivability with Hardy and Can't Be Defeated with that last ability. I think it's going to be really effective to help keep your team alive in a raid setting. Speaking of raids, I think the Fire Station set might have a chance at making city teams decent for them. It's still nothing crazy, and it's probably not going to be arena viable because currently we can't even get Primo above 5 stars, and at that level he's not really able to compete with full 7-star teams. And then the Ice Station Odyssey is a pretty lackluster set, doesn't do too much. It might be decent in the future if they add more Ice Planet characters, but currently it's not amazing. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this video. Tomorrow the Scarlet event starts, and I plan to take her all the way to 7 stars. I have quite a bit of gold and some ability materials saved up for that. I'm going to be doing a lot of testing at each star level so we can determine exactly when she starts to become viable for endgame in Arena. And I think both Bulldog and Greedos plan to take Scarlet to 7 stars as well. So go check out their channels. There's going to be a lot of videos tomorrow talking about this character, and then hopefully you'll be able to figure out if she's going to be worth it for you. Alright, well, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.